From Tally to Cali,
It's time
to wake up.
Wake up! Wake up!
Warchant.com is your ultimate Seminole sports source.
And this is Wake Up Warchant, presented by Corner Pocket Bar and Grill.
One more corner pocket.
Now here's Warchant.com's Aslan Hajavandi.
And Corey Clark.
Wake up! What is up, everybody? It is Wake Up Warchant. It is presented by Corner Pocket Bar and Grill, Tallahassee, Florida. Coming up on today's show, talking season is over. It is game week. Press conferences from Mike Norvell, Adam Fuller, Alex Atkins, Jean Papuch as we break it all down. Warchant.com, the ultimate Seminoles sports source. Subscribe. It's only $1 still. How much longer? No one knows. But you don't want to wake up one day and find out that's $100 and you could have had it for $1 this entire time. Go to the website, warchant.com, sign up. It's right on the front page. We, Wake Up Warchant, are presented by Corner Pocket Bar and Grill in Tallahassee, Florida. It is Tuesday. It's Bingo Tuesday, Corey's night to shine. But before that, check out the lunch special, 11 a.m. to 3 p.m., Taco Tuesday. This goes on all day, though. The lunch special 11 to 3, but on Tuesday, it's all day because it's Taco Tuesday. $2. Hard or soft shell beef chicken tacos, and $3 Coronas. Yeah, that's right. I like it. Corner Pocket Bar and Grill. Pull out the phone, hit the QR app with your camera. It'll take you right to the website. Corey Clark's here, everybody. Oh, go ahead.
I hate to correct you right away, Aslan, but it's Trivia Tuesday, not Bingo
That's
Tuesday.
it, Bingo? Sorry.
Yeah,
Well, you should have
it's all
jumped in
right.
earlier.
Well, it's all right. It's Trivia Tuesday. Bingo is on Thursday, as you're well aware
Yes.
because you're there all the time. You should host Bingo. But Bingo is on Thursday nights, buddy. But yeah, Trivia tonight at 7.
All right, and it's a jam-packed week, everybody. We will be doing the show every day this week. Live show Thursday, right? Thursday live show, Wake Up Warchant?
Is that right? I couldn't remember if it's
Terrible. We're terrible. Jeff Cameron show 1 to 3 o'clock Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. But today, Headlines goes on 1 to 3 o'clock. There will be a happy hour, Wednesday happy hour Friday at Corner Pocket Bar and Grill if you want to hang out with Jeff and Corey and maybe a couple of other us.
I'm thinking it's 5:30 to 6:30. I think that's when we did it last year. Tom seems to think maybe it was 5 to 6. But anyway, if you get there at 5, you'll get to see us. We'll probably start at 5:30 to 6:30 makes more sense because people are getting off work at 5. So we think 5:30 to 6:30 on Friday. Either way, it'll be a full hour of the two baldest guys at Warchant talking about the upcoming game against Duquesne.
And then Tallahassee Game Day presented by Zaxby's. What a day it will be for you folks. Every game day for Florida State. 2 hours before home games. Jeff and Tom getting you ready for the game. They'll be at Hotel Indigo. And then once the game kicks off, Total Leather, Dominic Robinson and myself watching it with you on YouTube live first half. And then second half, Tom takes over. And then there will be a post-game show call-in with Tom and Gene. So many names, everybody. So many names, so many pieces of content and programming. It's going to be great. It is going to be great.
Crazy,
this season.
man.
Can't
You
wait.
think about it, like starting last night with obviously you got Jeff and Tom every day from 1 to 3 on our channel, plus all the interviews, like all the press conferences, and we'll talk about them in a second with Norvell and the coordinators that happen on Monday. Then you have In the Coop with Robert Cooper. So that's just Monday. Tuesday you have headlines. Wednesday you have Jeff and Tom, and then maybe a live show. Sometimes a recruiting live show with Michael Langston. Thursday you have a live show with Aslan and I doing the Wake Up Warchant thing, as well as Jeff and Tom again. Friday you have Jeff and Tom again. Then you have Jeff and I doing a live show at happy hour. Then Saturday you have a pregame show, an in-game show, and a post-game show. And then you top it all off Sunday with Sunday Smash. It's nuts. There can't be another college website in the world that has as much great free content on their YouTube channel as we do. All we're asking is for $1 to subscribe to the website. That was a good selling. I sold that one, didn't I, buddy?
That was fantastic. I was about to be like, Corey just basically echoed everything I just said, but in a much better way, per usual. So, yeah, dude. All right, that's 4 minutes of us self-aggrandizing about everything. So let's get right to it then. We spoke to the coordinators on Monday morning, 11:30. Corey with his hard work transcribed everything out. If you were a subscriber to warchant.com, you could figure out and follow along with everything that's been said, courtesy of the videos and courtesy of Corey's hard work. I liked a lot of what the coordinators were saying. I don't know if we really hammered anything down when speaking to Mike Norvell, we speak to him every other day practically, so it wasn't a whole lot of new stuff to really share. Feels good about Jordan Travis. Thinks he's got, I think what he said, something incredible in front of him this year. He can be incredible this year. So that's,
he had an incredible fall camp, is what he said.
And maybe something, he says something, he's something special in front of him. So it sounds like he obviously feels good about where the season can be. But I guess let's talk about the 2 deep depth chart that was released on game week. Nothing really of note unless you're just absolutely nervous and chewing your nails over what they're going to do at the center position, where you see Darius Washington as a starter and Thomas Schrader backing him up. 2 guys that probably, 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, we probably weren't talking about at that position. So that's where they're at with that. Alex Atkins seems to feel really good about what Darius could be. How does this affect, what you think maybe on the early part of the season, Corey, is we don't have a timetable yet. They did say soon, which sounds very soon on Maurice Smith. But again, man, I don't, if Darius Washington snapped the ball well, I don't know what the discernible difference is between Darius and Maurice, or what the difference would have been between Darius and Caden if he didn't get hurt. I think everyone just kind of just snapped the ball, and we think that Alex Atkins probably has coached you up well enough that after that you'll be able to take care of business.
Well, I think, honestly, I think for my sake, especially early on, it's more about, the whole season really. Because, look, so for the first time, Mike Norvell admitted he had to. I mean, the depth chart came out that Maurice Smith is injured.
Banged up.
He's out.
Banged up.
He's not out for the season. In fact, Norvell said he could be back very, very soon. Now, does that mean LSU? Does that mean Louisville? Does it mean October? Who knows? Everybody's very is a very relative word. But he did say that he was going to be back soon. It's not a season-ending injury. And I can tell you, right when it happened, oh boy. But they got all things considered, it's very good news that Maurice Smith is available to play this year. And the reason I say that is because, I don't know, man. I don't know that Darius Washington is significantly worse at center than Maurice Smith. He might be as good or better. He's certainly bigger. But what it does to your depth, because don't you think if one of those guards or one of those tackles goes down, I got the impression Darius Washington could be first up at both.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He was a swing guy that could play literally every position if somebody else got hurt, and they'd feel good about it. Now, what do? Do you still do that, but then you bring Schrader in at center? Because now you're worse at 2 positions. So that to me is the real drama of trying to get Maurice Smith back as soon as possible if he can play. And look, even and my point being, so say Darius Washington has a good, a great game against Duquesne, and then Maurice maybe isn't available for LSU, and he plays well against LSU. Okay, he's established himself as a starting center. He's good. He's good enough anyway. But then one of the other guys goes down. What do you do then? They have some flexibility where they can move Darius back to, say, right guard or left tackle, and then slide Maurice Smith in, and you don't miss a beat. You feel better about that move than you do maybe putting like Armella in as a starter and keeping Darius there. I just feel like it gives them some flexibility when Maurice Smith is healthy. Darius Washington is such a valuable piece because of all the positions he can play. Right now, he's kind of anchored at one position, which that's the one drama I think there. But yeah, I think if the front 5 stays healthy, and I'm looking at it now, so you've got right now for the people that and you're listening to this, you'd want to know they have Bless Harris as the starter at right tackle. They have Dimitri Emmanuel or Jasden Turnentine as co-starters at right guard. We'll see. Emmanuel's listed first, but that might be alphabetical. Who knows?
Yeah.
They're both in bold. Darius Washington at center, Dylan Gibbons at left guard, and Robert Scott at left tackle. That you look at those lines, man. Robert Scott 6'5", 334. Gibbons 6'5", 327. Darius 6'4", 300. Emmanuel 6'2", 300. Turnentine 6'7", 336. Bless Harris 6'5", 308. That's a real college offensive line, folks. Big dudes with some depth. When you throw Maurice Smith in there, you have some experienced depth, and then also they really like Armella. He's the only one of the freshmen. I think he's the only freshman true freshman other than Thomas and McCall that made the 2 deep. So Armella's the second teamer at left tackle.
Rodney Hill at one of the running back spots, but They usually would do like running back, tailback,
yeah,
but they've
come
got
on.
But
Yeah, that's true. That's a good point. But he's fourth string right now if you're running those first three out there. But anyway, I just think and Estes has had a nice camp. He's another backup. It's so much losing Caden Lyles and then losing Maurice Smith for a limited amount of time. You hope it lessens the depth. So Darius Washington is a fine backup. You hope if he can snap the ball, which is a big if. It's an enormous if, matter of fact. But if he can snap the ball, you feel okay at center. You just don't feel nearly as good about your depth until Maurice comes back.
Yeah, I mean, that's fair. I mean, I really didn't look at it that way. I don't know. I think at this point, like if somebody else goes down, then you can start throwing your hands up in the air and saying that we're unlucky. Because, then you start trotting out maybe a walk-on at center, although David Sickle is not listed on your two deep. I did think it was interesting that Jason Turntine is listed at guard. We saw him, I think at the beginning of camp, we saw him more on the edge. We saw more of the tackle position. And now that he's been kind of cross-trained at guard, that probably helps free some stuff up there too now if somebody were to get it. I mean, he's another guy that can flex in and out that has a 6'7", 336 body, which, it's played some SEC games. That's obviously a value. So, nobody else get hurt. But right now, they're okay for Duquesne, and we'll see how it all works out when LSU rolls into town. And again, man, Maurice, whenever he does come back, that's going to tack on another. The longer we have to wait, that's just the longer he's been away, obviously, from playing football. Captain obvious. So I just wonder how quickly he can kind of get back on the train. That's moving hopefully full steam ahead, 1-0 into New Orleans, maybe 2-0 into Louisville if we're waiting for that day.
Yeah.
Well said. Those big bodies.
I mean, look, you get. What is it? It's still 2 weeks until LSU, like essentially right at 2 weeks. So you never know if he's going to be healed up by then. But then it's 3.5 to 4 weeks until Louisville, until your ACC opener.
That seems
a lot of time.
Yeah, that seems a little more of the target to probably hit.
Well, who knows though, man? Yeah. Who knows? But either way, that it's not the end of the world if he doesn't play against LSU. Clearly, it's a non-conference game. It's a neutral site game, but if you LSU Louisville's a big game. It's a conference game. It's on the road.
Excuse me, did you say it's not a big deal if he doesn't play against LSU because it's a non-conference game?
I mean, it's like if you can't play, you can't play. Like you wouldn't rush him back for the LSU game if it risks him missing conference games. In my opinion, you don't do that. Okay. It's one game out of 12. That's all. And hey, Darius Washington might be Brian Stork, baby.
All right.
Brian Stork started. He started out as a tight end. He found his home at center, found his niche, and then there he was. So no, I think I know LSU's a big game. I'm just saying that I think Louisville's probably as big, and it's another 12 days of rest or rehab or whatever he would have to do to get. You know what I mean? Like because they have that off week after the LSU game. So that's where I was going with that. But yeah, when you look at the depth chart. A lot of newcomers, huh? When you look at the, Deuce Spann making the bold behind Pokey Wilson, Johnny Wilson making the bold, not behind Pokey Wilson. He's listed as a co-starter along with Pokey Wilson, and Johnny Wilson, of course, is listed as a co-starter with Malik McClain. Which I would be surprised if John. It really doesn't matter who starts. Yeah. It's who's on the field the most,
right? And
I would be surprised if Johnny Wilson's not one of those guys. It's going to be kind of like Leonard. Basketball team. Really doesn't matter who he starts. It's who's on the court in the final when it matters. Who's on the field on the final drive. That'll tell you who the best player is and who their starters are. But yeah, I mean, I don't think other than that there were any real surprises at all on the depth chart.
I mean, when I think about it, they've got like 13 guys listed on offense. Like they've got a quarterback, 2 running backs, 3 receivers, 2 tight ends, and then 5 offensive linemen. Which is a little bit bizarre to have like 2 tight end positions listed. But Cam McDonald listed as a starter at one of them, which he's a guy that was dealing with an injury that Mike Norvell disclosed earlier in camp. But then defensively to see McClendon or Verse, that to me was a bit of I was hoping maybe we would have seen maybe like Jared Verse, Derek McClendon. But I guess your point.
Yeah, that's odd. Maybe it could be alphabetical. I'm looking at all of them.
No, Azari Thomas is ahead of Sam McCall on an or.
Yeah, and Pokey Wilson is ahead of Spann. Yeah. So yeah, I guess it doesn't work that way. But yeah, I think the only real position, like, look, man, Verse and McClendon are both going to play a lot. I think they're also going to play on the field at the same time together quite a bit. I think the one position that was the battle for that we now have some confirmation on that we didn't know for sure, but it was certainly leaning that way, is Renardo Green at corner, opposite of Duke Cooper. So he's listed. Jardian Jones is behind him. And then at nickel, Kevin Noles is listed as the starter. I also think Jardian will play there some as well. But yeah, I don't see any real surprises at all in the depth chart.
It's crazy that you see McClendon and Verse at one defensive end spot. They're both 6'4", 245, 248, respectively, Verse with 3 pounds on him. And then Briggs at the Fox position, 6'4", 280. But then backing him up are just McClendon Verse type bodies. Like Leonard Warner, 6'4", 247. Patrick Payton, 6'5", 248. That's like a noticeable drop-off. So I wonder if Dennis Briggs were to go down or something. I wonder how that would affect what they try to accomplish there. I mean, do they just go 2 rush ends at that point? Do they just kind of give up on trying to set the edge on one side? But, yeah, that'd be nice. I don't know what they really could do there, though. And there's nobody else, that was pushing at that position. Malcolm Ray's backing up Coop. He's 6'2", 285, but they like him on the inside. He's a little quick, a little slippery guy. So, but yeah, that's a depth chart for Duquesne. We'll see how that shakes out moving forward, and then obviously against LSU. Coordinator-wise, Corey, I guess we can start with Alex Atkins. We spoke to him first. I know you're busy typing, but being there, like listening to him, he's a future head football coach. So hope we can hang on to him for as long as we need to, and then when he's ready to go and there's something good open for him, then by all means, I'll wish him luck. But that's more than anything. Like I've watched the offensive line some, not as much as Tom. I'm usually watching the football move around the field like Corey does when it comes to 7-on-7, 11-on-11 stuff. I'm not focusing on the offensive line, but it's just him, man. His confidence, just the way that we've seen them improve steadily from year 1 to year 2, and then now what we hope they can be this season. I don't recall anything in particular him saying that kind of stood out to me, but it's just the way he carries himself. Just his confidence gives me confidence that they'll be fine no matter what happens. Anything from Alex Atkins catch your typing fast fingers?
Yeah, a few things. First, the stuff he said about Jordan when he was asked about what he thought of Jordan's camp. And, we talk so much about what Jordan can do with his feet. Oh, by the way, I looked this up because I was just interested. So I've taken away essentially all the sacks that Jordan has. They're mostly sacks. You can't know for sure. But, when you see the rushing stats and it'll say gained 96, lost 17 for a total of whatever that is, 79 total yards. So I went back and found the total yards that Jordan Travis has rushed for since he's been at Florida State, and then just took away the what I thought were sacks and negative yardage. So on 221 carries, he has 1,684 yards and 17 touchdowns. So to put that in perspective, if that's for a season, that's a running back rushing for 1,684 yards on essentially, what is that? 18 carries a game? 18 carries a game, 1,684 yards total. So he's averaging about 7.5 yards per carry. That's nuts. He's going to rush for over 2,000 yards in his career at Florida State. And by the way, so the rest of the Florida State running backs combined have rushed for about 1,250 yards in their careers. All of them combined. Ward, Benson, Toafili, Rodney Hill obviously hasn't played. That's crazy. Your starting quarterback has rushed for 450 more yards, essentially, than your entire running back crew. And we think this is a good running back crew. But it also goes into what Jordan Travis is as a runner, which is special. But all that was to say, when we talk about him as a quarterback, we always talk about running first, and then can he improve as a passer? He's a pretty good passer. We're always throwing out these qualifiers. He can make throws. He can make some, he can beat you with his arm, too. He's not just, Jamel Holloway from the 80s Oklahoma Wishbone. But we don't ever talk about what his mind is. And I thought Atkins was really not on point. I thought it was really insightful when he talked about Jordan and his ownership of the offense. And how he's like, look, good quarterbacks save coaches a lot more than coaches save quarterbacks. Meaning, we send in bad plays all the time. The good quarterbacks get you out of the bad play and get you into a good one, or at least a better one, not a horrible play. And he talked about Jordan doing that. Like he's reached that elite level where he can get them out of a bad play and get them into a positive play. And that's something I just don't think we never really, and I put myself in this too, as people that comment on sports and on football, We don't factor that in nearly as much as we should. Just checks at the line, blocking assignments at the line, what to tell your linemen, not being confused, them not being confused, like you taking leadership and ownership of the offense and getting your team in the right play because you notice the defense they're in and you know you have a counter to what they're in. And instead of, if I call this play, it's going to be an incomplete pass or a 7-yard loss because that dude's coming off the edge, I'm going to switch it to something as simple as I'm going to switch it to the other side. And now they have nobody over there. Now it's a 7-yard gain instead of a 7-yard loss. All that stuff is so important to that position, man. And if he's got that down, like Atkins or Norvell acted, as they said he did on Monday, that's another level in his game that we just never, ever talk about. But you can win games. If you're a good quarterback, you can win games with your mind as well as just being electric with the ball in your hands.
All right.
There you go.
I was trying to formulate something negative, but I couldn't come up with anything.
Oh, there you go. Nice. So I thought that stood out to me when I was typing forever. By the way, I can only type 10,000 characters in my post, everyone. If you're on Warchant and you wondered why there was I had to come back with a continued, that's how much I'm typing. Is that I was only about 3 questions into Fuller, so 3 out of the 4 coaches we talked to, and it said you've run out of space. So I'm like, well, I guess I'm done. And then I'm like, well, no, you could just start another post and keep it going. But you had a good way to get around that. So hopefully next week I'll. Well, I also say this though, Aslan, like when I'm in the building, which I will be for most of these Monday press conferences, I don't type like I do when I'm not. You know what I mean?
You're asking a question usually.
I'm asking a question, and like last year when I asked the question to Norvell and he stared at me for 5 minutes. As he gave the answer, I wasn't sitting there typing. I was looking at him. So my reply to that question, my summation of that answer was like, "Hey, go watch the video." I can't explain what just happened, but go watch the video. It was something. And also, I just feel like it bothers people. You're sitting there. It's a pretty quiet setting. You're in the museum. It's a museum, by the way, folks, that has no memorabilia of anything. They just call it the museum because that's what it was supposed to be, but it's literally just a room with chairs and no Florida State memorabilia at all. But you're sitting there in the museum, people are asking questions, it's pretty quiet except for the guy talking, and then you hear me just hammering away on the keyboard. I just think I don't like to type nearly as much, so I wanted to make up for it this one time that I was up in Atlanta.
And I was looking around. There's a lot of guys that will ask a question, and then the coach is engaging in them, like looking at them, but they're down looking at their computer, like typing away. So it is a tricky balance. Yeah, it's like, all right.
Yeah, I hate doing that, though. Like, what's more important, in my opinion, like having a relationship with the coach, and not that you wouldn't have a relationship with Papuchis if you're looking down typing, but it's how humanity works. You ask someone a question, they're giving you the answer. Look at them. Yeah. But at least act interested and then sum it up after he's done. Like don't ask a question then he's talking to you and you look down and you're at a keyboard because then he's got to where do his eyes go? So you just keep looking at you. So yeah, that's always you're right. It's a delicate balance because you do want to get the info out, but they can wait 30 seconds while you give them you give them when you ask a girl out on a date, Aslan,
right?
When she's giving you the answer, do you just keep looking at her, right? Or do you look at your phone?
I look at the ground. I'm scared, nervous.
Smart. Yeah, you kick your feet around a little bit, kick the dirt.
So like what you want to do. I did like how.
Do you remember the first time you asked a girl out?
I mean, like, I don't know. I
think Brady's getting to that point.
I remember like asking a girl if she wanted to like be my girlfriend in 6th grade or 5th grade.
No, that doesn't count. I'm talking about like you had a car and you wanted to take her to like a restaurant or a movie or something.
Yeah, no, man. That took me a while. I didn't have a car for a minute. And then in college I really never. I can't remember last time. I can't remember the first time. I can remember the last time. I can't remember the first time.
And now it's all done electronically. Yeah. You got no skin in the game.
Yeah, just
if they say no, you don't
send out the 30 women. Who wants to go out? You want to go out? And then first one's in. Let's go.
That's right.
It's a numbers game, everybody. Welcome to romance.
That's right. It's like throwing those big pots in crab fishing.
Exactly. It's exactly what to do. Just dropping the pot. Yep. Driving the Northwestern, tacking north. I did like how, because I was thinking about this after we talked about some of the stuff on the show for the Monday program, but Alex Atkins talking about like the faith that he has in Jordan, the faith that he has in this offense, Mike Norvell's offense, because he's done it with so many different quarterbacks, and he's done it with so many. If he's had better running backs, they've leaned on the running game in years past. And it just kind of made me think about that's probably one of the more, I don't know the proper word, but like maybe mitigating factors or something that's at least more of a little bit of a feather in the cap for Norvell if you look at the AAC kind of, footprint or profile rather of a coach that was successful that went to the Power 5 level, didn't work out because, Willie had Quentin Flowers, Tom Herman, by and large, it was Greg Ward Jr., had that real big season for him. I don't know if he overlapped with De'Aaron King, maybe one season before he went out to Texas. But Scott Frost at UCF, obviously, was him and Mackenzie Milton, had that bit of a spark, and that, got him to Nebraska. Mike was an OC at Arizona State, Taylor Kelly, Mike Bercovici did well. And then when he went to Memphis, I think he inherited Riley Ferguson. He then had Brady White. So, we've seen his offense be successful with multiple different quarterbacks.
But also
different places.
Wouldn't you say, obviously Milton, Ward, Derek King, those guys were
Quentin
All-American.
Flowers.
Quentin Flowers, maybe not Quentin Flowers, but he was definitely an all-conference caliber player. Yeah. And he was a wrecking ball as a runner. I mean, he was a 1,200, 1,300-yard rusher. It's cool that Mike Norvell, in my opinion, you want him to go get a superstar quarterback. You would love for him to have him, but he's proven, not at Florida State yet, but he's proven at Arizona State and Memphis he can put up big numbers and gain a lot of yards and score a lot of points without having the star quarterback.
Yeah.
Right? That speaks more to his scheme. And, he had great running backs, or he had one really great one at Memphis with, what's his name? And the guy with the
Darrell
Commanders.
Henderson. And then
Antonio
Gainwell.
Gibson.
Oh, yeah,
Gibson. And
Tony Pollard, too.
Yeah, man, he had really good running backs there, man. He produced really good running backs, and they had a really good running game, but he's proven he can, they also threw for 300-400 yards every now and again at Memphis and Arizona State. He's proven he can beat you multiple ways. It's just, it's cool that Alex Atkins is saying that, and I agree with him, that it's not just a one-set offense, which is pretty neat, that you're not trying to fit a square peg into a round hole all the time. Sometimes you adjust to what you have. You get a square hole for that square peg. The problem is that it hadn't happened yet at Florida State. And that's all the people listening to this show care about. They don't care what Memphis did in 19 or what Arizona State was in 2015. It's what Florida State is in 2022. I do think just the way they talked, man, and maybe it's just false bravado, not false bravado, but preseason bravado.
You're trying to speak it into existence. You're trying to have positive reinforcement.
But I do think they believe it. I do think when they talk about these wide receivers, and Mike Norvell was talking about the running backs, and even Atkins was talking about the running backs and saying, look, it's almost like they could all be wearing the same number. It doesn't matter. It's not like we just have one power back and one speed back. We got guys that do all of it, and they're very versatile. Norvell said something similar to that, too, that he likes all their different skill sets, but they all can play, and they all will play. I think they actually like their skill guys. They're not incredible. You know what I mean? They're not Alabama, but I think they like them.
That's where we're at, yeah.
Yeah. Right? Don't you think? They liked it. They like Pittman and Johnny Wilson and what Deuce Spann can give them. And then on the running back side, Toafili, Ward, and Benson could be a really nice trio with a little Rodney Hill, maybe Ja'Kai Douglas sprinkled in there too. They've got weapons, so many more weapons than they've had. Now, again, it's not 1999 Florida State weaponry, but it's still better than it's been here in a good long while. Probably since what? I don't know, man, 16? And again, this isn't a high bar to clear.
Yeah, I'm 16. But, it was really Nooney? I mean, Keith Gavin wasn't doing much. Auden Tate, I don't think. 17 is when Auden Tate really put up his big numbers.
So maybe 17 because you had Auden Tate and Cam Akers. No. I mean, Cam was a true freshman. But then you also had your quarterback was so. If you account for Jordan Travis as a skill player, which he is, this is probably the best combination of skill players they've had at Florida State in a good long while. It's still not incredible. It's not earth-shattering. But, man, it's such a marked improvement. Look at, like I said, the depth chart. You got 3 guys that might be starting, including if you throw Trey Benson in there, out of, 5 skill position guys, you've got 4 that might be brand-new starters, and the best of the bunch is the kid from West Virginia who's still rehabbing. So it goes to show you how much better they've gotten at the skill positions, and I truly think that they're genuinely excited about what this offense can be, which would be good because it has been pretty unexciting around here lately.
Well, very diplomatically said, Corey. I like that.
Yeah.
Defensively, big fan of Adam Fuller. Just a big fan of Adam Fuller.
Yep.
Just because, if I was the defensive coordinator against Jacksonville State in that situation, I would have called the same exact defense. And I say that sincerely.
You're speaking out loud now. Don't speak out loud.
I mean, I feel him and I are tied at the hip on that. I feel like I'm just like, I would have done the same thing. So I'm gonna ride and die with you, Coach.
I do have proof though that before that play, I'm not. Well, I can be. But before that play, as they lined up, I have proof. I have witnesses. Ira and Austin were on either side of me. I'm like, what defense are they in?
I know, no, I believe, you.
So
were,
at least I have that. I have that feather in my hat that I thought ahead of time. Like, why am I saying this out loud? Like, why wouldn't anybody in the box or the guy that gets paid $5 million, like, Adam, back him up? We can't lose. Back them up. If they make a field goal to go to overtime, all right, but back them up. Anyway. Go ahead.
Those three guys had a shot.
I know. Just push the guy out of bounds. All you got to do is push the guy out of bounds and the game's over.
But for all the, I think, like aspirational talk and thinking that, we hear from Mike Norvell, like Adam Fuller is very just grounded. It's just, this is who we have. This is what I feel good about. And trust me, I realize we have to get better. I think he said on like 2 different occasions, it's our job to go find the players and then put them in the right position, like taking ownership and accountability, mentioning that, we feel really good about the way the defense played towards the second half of last season. I think he explicitly said, like, we know we have to get a lot better than the way we closed out last season. And it's like, well, man, you guys actually did all right, man. Again, these are words. It's still a little bit of talking season. We'll see how this all happens Saturday against Duquesne and then obviously afterwards against LSU. But that just feels like the right kind of message that defense needs, especially when they've got so many older dudes. I mean, when we look at the depth chart on that side of the ball, I talked to John Papuchis about it, but listen, you got a really good interior defensive line with Fabian and Robert Cooper. Behind them, Jarrett Jackson, maybe Josh Farmer, Malcolm Ray, to be determined. But Fuller talked about the growth they have in the linebacker room, just how far along they've come there. You obviously like what they have on the back end. We'll see what happens on the defensive end position, but that's like it's a very experienced group, and they've played a lot together, and that coach still knows that he's got to push and get more from them. So I'm looking at the more macro approach. You're doing the micro, typing everything out they say, Corey. But I don't know. Adam Fuller just seems to me, I trust him, man. I have confidence in him.
Did you know that I didn't realize this, and it's COVID made it so hard to keep track of people's eligibility. But literally, they don't have a senior on the defense other than Leonard Warner. Like, Lovett and Cooper are both still redshirt juniors. So's Briggs. Oh. So's Bethune. So's Renardo Green.
Jarquez McClellan. Pac-Man. Don't forget about Pac.
Literally, out of the 22 guys, it might be a little more than that. It's 23 guys. Nope, sorry. 24 guys listed on their 2 deep on defense. There's 1 senior. Now, but it's a lot of experience. Like, Cooper's a sophomore, Noles is a sophomore, but they have starts under their belt. Akeem Dent has a bunch of starts. Jamie Robinson's a redshirt junior. Aslan, what if all these guys come back and run it back in 2023, baby? That probably won't happen.
We talked about you mentioned that when you did your provocative question about what if this, team goes 8 wins and you bring everybody back, like you feel really good about next year. But continue on.
Yeah. So, when you look at that defense, he talked about. What's good about him too is in hindsight he's not going to throw anybody under the bus during the season. Right. But after this, and he never throws anybody under the bus. But he can admit, okay, we weren't as good as we need to be at these spots, this, and this. So on Monday he was talking about last year we went into games or went into the season thinking we had 13 or 14 guys out of the 11 positions. They had about 13 or 14 guys that they felt comfortable with that could help them win, that they'd put in the rotation, that were good college football players. He goes, now we have 18, 19, or 20, which kind of tells you that there may be 1 or 2 guys listed on the depth chart that they're not expecting a lot out of, but that's fine. It also means that they're expecting a lot out of most of them, almost all of them. And I think when you read the names, they are. Like, none of these names, like Greedy Vance is a backup, Amari Gaynor is a backup, Leonard Warner is a 5th-year backup, Malcolm Ray, Josh Farmer are going to play, Jarrett Jackson's going to play, McClellan will probably play some. But, they've elongated the depth to the point where, if they suffer some injuries or just to get guys a break so they can be fresher in the 4th quarter when it matters the most, you can throw guys in there to play a series or 2 and it doesn't kill you. It doesn't kneecap you. And that's something they haven't been able to do the last 2 years. Remember last year, man, Jermaine Johnson was playing 98% of all the snaps to end the season. Keir Thomas was on the field a ton. Deloach never came off the field. Jamie Robinson never came off the field. I think there will be more of that now. And he said, I just think they're gonna try to play a few more people earlier in games probably to make sure their guys are fresh late in games. Brownlee never came off the field.
No.
So I think there's going to be more rotation now, but they can because they've got more depth, more quality college football depth. Again, I always have to feel like I couch it because if you listen to this, you're going to think, man, are they talking about Florida State or Alabama? We know what this is. We know this is still a part of a rebuild, but I think it's getting built faster than maybe I would have envisioned, certainly midway through last season. Like this seems, and we'll see. I don't watch any other teams practice, just this one. This seems like it's much closer to where Florida State should be than this place has been any time in the last 4 or 5 years. But you got to go win games, or none of that matters.
Absolutely. All right, then pull up the rear special teams. It's always a bit of a fun exercise talking to John Papuchis because it's like, hey, man, what can you really discuss when it comes to kick game? I'll just be selfish. The question I asked him at the end of it where, listen, everybody, I know you all wish you had our jobs. You should. Our job's awesome. But watching the special teams is not the most glamorous, enjoyable part of the job. But listen, nothing in life is perfect, everybody, except for your spouse and your children.
No, they're not perfect either.
But watching the special teams, you're like, golly, man. Like, we're squeezing. We're doing a lot of squeeze. I don't see a lot of juice in the cup. And ask, John Papuchis, like, hey, man, how excited will you be when this finally works? Like when you finally bust one off. And he just talked about driving home from, practice and letting his mind wander and drift and think about that and how happy he would be because, he said it's hard for us to see on television film and the angles they use just how close they were. But he believes they are just so close to it happening. My only counter to it would be that he laid it out with, you guys don't understand how everything needs to work out. Like you need the right kick. You need the right, it needs to go to the right side of the field. You need to have the right wedge kind of set up. Your guy needs to find the crease. He needs to go and make a play. To which I would say, well, if it's so open to so many different variables and like you can't control some things, so like why invest so much time in that? But they are going to make this part of their identity, part of their DNA. Is this the year, Corey? Will they finally bust one? Have they busted one over midfield? They've had to probably at least bust one over midfield. But will we finally see one, Corey? Are we finally going to see one like, over the opposing team's like 30-yard line? Will we get a good 45-yard return punt? Is this the year, Corey? Will it be the year?
I think it is, buddy. I think it is. I was interested when they had. I was surprised that Pittman was Pittman's the guaranteed kick returner, and the other two are Sam McCall or Deuce Spann. I would have thought it would have been both of them, just because Pittman's already your primary punt returner and he plays such an important part of your offense. But, whatever. But, yes, I do think it'll happen. I do think it was smart of them, and they've admitted as much now, to do live full-speed reps in scrimmages of special teams. Because how do you know if a kid has what it takes on any position on the kick return unit, whether it's returning it or setting up a block, if he's only doing it at 50 or 60% speed? You know what I mean? Like you want to see how it all works together. So they'll do full speed. Like they'll do full speed reps in these special teams drills, but never with a tackle or a thud on the kick returner. The kick returner will just catch it while the other guys are trying to block, racing to their position to turn around and block. And he'll just kind of jog through not jog, he'll run hard, but nobody's touching him as he's trying to find an alley but it's when it matters, when guys can actually get you on the ground and tackle you and are trying to bust you when you're trying to set up a block. That's a different deal. And yeah, so they did it at least a handful of times this fall. So I feel like I don't feel like it. They definitely feel as if they have a better handle on who belongs where. And that's what he said. He said he almost ran a red light thinking about Papuchis. That was actually funny. He goes, yeah, I got lost thinking about how great it would be to return a kick for a touchdown just because of all the hard work that these players put into it and that they bought into it, because they do practice special teams. They have to more than anybody else in the country. I mean, it's 6 full periods every day committed to it. And so he said he got so lost in it that he almost ran a red light before he realized he was So it definitely matters to him. And the way they talk and the way they practice, it certainly seems to matter to the players. So I also think Deuce is a guy, or Sam McCall for that matter. They're big, they're long, rangy, fast dudes,
long striders,
kind of like
Keith Gavin.
I was going to say Tamarick Vanover back from 30 years ago. Guys that maybe don't go down so easily. Because if they're full speed and you clip them just a little bit, they can bounce and recover because they're big guys. They're tall guys. They can step around you at full speed where other guys maybe, can't or haven't for Florida State. So we'll see, man. I think so. Wouldn't it be awesome if they returned one against LSU? What that would be like. But I also think, again, what they said about what Papucha said about Pittman in the punt return game was how he's confident, which is so big, and he's fearless, which is even more important. Again, go watch YouTube clips of Greg Reed returning punts, man. He is catching 28-yard line drives on the dead run because he so wants to get the ball. If you get somebody that's even remotely close to that, even if he catches it and falls flat on his face, he saved you 12 to 15 yards. And that's such a big deal when you're going to play as many close games as this team probably will.
I am curious. That's another thing with the LSU game. They got Bill Polian's son's their special teams guy, Brian Polian. So I'm sure he's going to have something cooked up for us too. But that'd be real nice if you put it up LSU and they've got that guy run their special teams. That'd be a nice feather in the cap. That'd be double bonus on that one. So we can only hope. Don't waste it on Duquesne.
We can only hope, buddy.
Actually, do it to Duquesne too. Warm it up. Yeah, get it going against Duquesne and then put it on LSU. All right, that's a wrap for us for today, though. We'll have a show tomorrow. We will have Renegade Express Thursday and then the live show Thursday as well, but that'll be your Friday podcast. We'll do Corey's plan, but I'll still probably only keep the thread open for a few hours. But will I be the one that determines who makes the cut and who doesn't? You want to put that on me, Corey?
That's on you, buddy. You read these more than I do beforehand, so it's I trust your judgment. So we want to do the live show on Thursday, not Wednesday? I know we did it Thursday last week because of my schedule, but I'll be in town both
now that
nights.
We're in season. Oh, okay.
Yeah. Well, no. So these next 2 weeks, I would figure we could probably do it Wednesday because we can't do it next Thursday because we'll be on the way to New Orleans.
That's right. That's right.
So we could do them. We could probably do it this Wednesday and next Wednesday. I don't think there's anything we got that I had. Yeah.
I thought you just said that Brady's going to have a really busy Wednesday this year. Like his Wednesday is going to be really crowded with stuff going on.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But I think this Wednesday, particularly.
But we want to do it steady, though. We want to do it the same day every week. We don't want to be like, all right, this week is Wednesday, next week is Thursday. We're having a production meeting live, so we apologize.
You're right.
We'll have a live show.
I guess we can do it Thursday. You're right. That probably makes more sense.
Headlines 1 to 3 o'clock. We'll be out at practice 9:05. I would guess probably, we never post updates of period 3. But I guess we can't because we're not allowed to film that, so maybe we can't tweet about that either until it's done. But I would say look for the practice update thread because there's an update thread, but there's really no updates in it. But we'll speak to players and a coach probably after practice, so be on the lookout for that. We'll have you covered. And then again, headlines 1 to 3 o'clock. And then everything else that Corey mentioned, pregame, in-game, postgame, Jeff Cameron show, maybe a Warchant report. Who knows? Sky's the limit. He's Corey. I'm Aslan. Thank you for listening to Wake Up Warchant, presented by Corner Pocket Bar and Grill.